Welcome back to another episode of Consciously Clueless. I'm your host, Carly, and I'll be your guide on this journey from consciousness to cluelessness and back around again. Thanks for joining me for another Sunday solo episode. Whether it's Sunday night and you're getting ready for your week, Monday morning and you're on your way to work, or whatever day this podcast has found you, I'm really glad you're here. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. Is there something interfering with your happiness, or is it preventing you from achieving your goals? By now, you all know that therapy is an important part of my self-care. It has truly been a game changer in every aspect of my life. BetterHelp is the largest online counseling platform worldwide. They are changing the way people get help with facing life's challenges by providing convenient, discreet, and affordable access to a licensed therapist. BetterHelp makes professional counseling available anytime, anywhere, through a computer, tablet, or smartphone. You can start communicating within 48 hours. It's not a crisis line, it's not self-help, it is professional counseling done securely online. And I have a special offer for you. Visit betterhelp.com/Carly and join the over 1 million people taking charge of their mental health with the help of an experienced professional. By using this code, you get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/Carly. Take care of yourself today. Thanks again to BetterHelp for sponsoring this podcast. If you're thinking, how could she choose just 5 books to talk about? I understand. I had similar concerns. But today I want to talk to you about 5 books that are really important to me. I hesitate to say the word favorite because that could change, but these are 5 books. Some of them have been in my life a long time, or a couple years, since college. Some are newer, and they all are ones that I keep. I get rid of books. I'm not someone anymore that keeps a lot of books. I have to have room for other things in the bus. So these are ones that have been on my shelf and I have no intention of getting rid of them. And they're all very different, so I'm excited to share them with you. The first one is the oldest one, Full Frontal Feminism by Jessica Valenti. This book, a young woman's guide to why feminism matters. Y'all, this book rocked my world. It came out in 2007 when I was in high school, but I didn't read it until my first year of college in 2010. And it really lit a fire under my ass to want to change the world. And this book, oh gosh, I don't even know where to start. I'm going to have to try and not make a book report about all 5 of these books. Maybe 5 was too many. But this book was so important for me because in college, in the beginning of college, I was just starting to really connect to this idea of like girl power in a really tangible way. I always had that. I always had good female role models. I had a mom that showed me amazing female characters in different books and movies, and I had a lot of that. I was very empowered, but I didn't understand the politics. I was a privileged white girl who grew up in a small town, so I didn't understand the politics and the rights and that side of the girl power. And this book basically was my dive into that, and it was pretty amazing. I'm looking at the reviews on the back here, and this one says, Full Frontal Feminism should be required reading for all the young women out there whose ideas about feminism are more informed by backlash culture than by actual feminist movement. It is so true. We as women get socialized to compete, not to see each other as fellow humans trying to get by in this world. And this book brought me back to why that happens and taught me why that happens and what to do about it, and made me really excited to continue on with college because I wanted to make a difference. And I knew after reading this book that I was going to be involved in some sort of way in making a difference and advancing the rights of women and people that have been marginalized in this world. So that's pretty big. That's a pretty big, inspiring moment. So hats off to Jessica Valenti, Full Frontal Feminism. I'm actually thinking of reading this again. I haven't read it in so long, just to see where we're at. Actually, that might be a little depressing because this was written in 2007 and there's probably so many things that haven't changed, but so many things have. So it would be fun to look back. The next one is totally different, and I've talked about it on the podcast a couple times before. I've talked about it on social media and my newsletters because that's how important this book is. The Alzheimer's Solution by Dean and Aisha Shirzai. I bet you didn't see that one coming on this list. That's how impactful this book was on me. A book about Alzheimer's was that impactful in my life that it is in my top 5 books right now at this moment in time. And I read this years ago now, quite a bit of years ago, and it completely changed how I looked at brain health, how I looked at how to take care of my body, how I looked at why it's important. This, coupled with watching my grandma deteriorate with Alzheimer's, changed my life. I talked about that a few episodes back. She is my why. That is what the episode's called. So you can go listen to that. I won't get into it here, but this book changed my life because it was so accessible and it made the conversation about why to take care of your body and specifically why to take care of your brain in a way that I understood. And these are 2 doctors. These are 2 doctors writing this book. They're amazing. They do incredible work in this world, and they write in a way that is accessible and makes you feel like you can take something away from it, and also is inspiring because it puts some control back in your hands and how you want to live your life. So I highly recommend all of these books, of course, but if you are interested in health and wellness at all, Alzheimer's Solution for sure. The next one is a classic, I think, for anyone, like anyone who loves crystals and meditating. I feel like it's a stereotype that they talk about The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. So I love this book. It is The Power of Now, A Guide to Spiritual Enlightenment. I have read so many of these types of books by now, and this is the one that I will literally just crack open to a random page, read it, and get something out of it, and I can walk away. I don't have to reread the whole book. I use it for inspiration. I use it for quotes. I use it in yoga a lot, actually. It is a book that I come back to again and again and again. It is one that you can read slowly. It's a lot to digest. It can sometimes feel heady, and then other times it feels really easy to read and like he's speaking right to you. So I think give it a try. It is really good for pushing yourself out of your ego mind. We all get in our ego minds in this world. And if you want to kind of move beyond that and just like take a friggin' deep breath and think about life a little differently, this book is for you. It is really good and really inspiring and has also contributed to some pretty big changes in how I live, or at least how I see the world. The next one is Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. This book is a real kick in the ass, honestly. It is wild. David Goggins is... I don't even know where to start with him. He is someone who overcame so much in life, and he takes a different approach to talking about how he got there. You know, in The Power of Now, it is a little, how do I say this? A little lighter, a little softer language, and I'm not saying one of these is right or wrong, because both of them are in my top 5. I actually like both. I feel like I need both approaches. But this dude was a Navy SEAL, so he doesn't fuck around with how he writes or how he talks, and he is no nonsense, no bullshit. He basically just calls you on your stuff in this book by saying, like, yeah, you can do better than that. That's a holdup. I just opened to a random page, and this is the line. I knew that if I maintained a victim's mentality, I wouldn't get anything at all out of a fucked up situation, and I didn't want to sit home defeated all day long. Like, that's pretty much David Goggins and this whole book in a nutshell, but it is so inspiring, and sometimes I need that kind of like, come on, let's go, let's kick ass attitude, and that book is that. It is, the tagline is master your mind and defy the odds, and it's pretty amazing. I highly recommend it. If you are someone who is more masculine and likes that approach, the more masculine approach to things, this might be a good book for you to read about mindset, and it is in a more digestible way, I think, than some of the books that feel like too woo-woo for people, which I totally get. So the last, but certainly not least, is Untamed by Glennon Doyle. This book I read twice now, which is unheard of. I don't read books more than once, typically. I'll, like I said, flip it open like The Power of Now and again look back, but I don't read books straight through, and I'm going to read this one again. I've already read it twice. It is a wild ride. I think that if you identify as a woman, it will rip your heart open because you will feel every word she writes in such a real way in your body. It is a memoir, but really it's just a rally call, I think, to liberate women and liberate men and liberate everybody from the system and just rise above it. And the way she writes feels really approachable for me. It's humorous, it's warm, but it's also just to the point, and the things she writes are the things you think and don't necessarily say out loud. And it is really, really amazing. I wish you all could see the amount of post-it notes I have sticking out of the top of this book because I read it for a book club I was in, and I just couldn't stop. I wanted to make sure I noted everything I wanted to bring up, and there's probably 40 or 50 of them in here. It's pretty nuts. Okay, I just opened up to a random page from Untamed. Maybe courage is not just refusing to be afraid of ourselves, but refusing to be afraid of others too. Maybe we can stop trying to find common ground and let everybody be the sea they already are anyway. Let it be. What? I mean, it's so good, y'all. It's just, chef's kiss. So those are the 5. Those are the 5 that inspire me, that I come back to again and again. We've got Full Frontal Feminism by Jessica Valenti, The Alzheimer's Solution by Dean and Aisha Sherzai, The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins, and Untamed by Glennon Doyle. Maybe I should do this yearly and see if the top 5 in my life right now ever changes. I'll write that down because these are it for now, but who knows what could alter and change. I want to hear from you. What are your top 5? Are any of these books in your top 5? Are you going to read any of these books now? Let me know. Comment on the post on social media about this episode. Something. I want to hear from you. Thanks for listening to another episode of Consciously Clueless. If you enjoyed this episode, hit subscribe wherever you're listening. If you're on Apple Podcasts, go ahead and leave a review so others can find this podcast too. If you really want to help me get this into the ears of more listeners, send it to a friend, text it to a family member, share on social media. Whatever you can do really helps me out. And finally, if you haven't yet, head over to patreon.com/consciouslycarly. Check out everything going on over there. There's vegan tips and recipes, yoga videos, meditation recordings. There is so much good stuff over there. I really love having that community with you all. So go ahead and check it out. Until next time.